Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Fuzzy Memories from the Road with myself and
I'm Dustin. How you guys doing? Welcome to the show. Tonight, I'm enjoying a festive eggnog drink because it's always in season where I'm from.
we didn't plan this at all, but I feel like Dustin is representing the lightness of
The-
all things good,
yeah, I'm
and
the
here
light
I
side of the
am.
force.
I'm just in shadow.
Yeah, it's perfect. I love it. Even the backgrounds, like you've got red and black everywhere. I've got like blue and light white and gray.
I know, the thing is, I'm not like a super like gothic
Yeah,
person, but for some
right.
reason,
It just comes together that way.
yeah, so this episode was actually one location. It was a 43-minute, I can't say hour-long episode because I'd be lying,
Right.
43-minute adventure in the frozen tundra that was Latvia.
We often say that we have to investigate in cold places. It's always winter. This, I think, Brandy, you would agree, was the coldest case we've ever done. Like,
Yeah, I think that this rivals our time in Sweden when we were super close to the Arctic Circle. I mean,
right,
and for this one, I remember being outside with Joe Chin investigating, and our lips froze. Like we couldn't form our words trying to do an EVP session.
yeah, yeah. I remember doing I remember getting the thermal camera and doing a sweep outside because there was some story about like either a lake or the woods nearby, and I remember looking back at the prison, and it was just like a darker blue outline of what was around. Like there was really no heat signature. It was like here's the cold sky and here's the cold building. There's no like red or warm signs anywhere.
Right. No. This I remember specifically. We were actually in the negative digits in Latvia at this time of year in Latvia. It was like -10 or something. And so yeah, you know, a lot of people think that it's like an easy go on a ghost hunting show. But the show we were on, and the same can be said for ghost hunters, like
Yeah.
we actually went out and we investigated 8 hours. Do you remember we were told you start when the sun goes down and you end when the sun comes up?
The sun comes up, yeah. That's I remember like driving back during the sunrise like so many times. Like that was the norm. You know, if we get to go home like early, like 3 a.m., that was a big deal. Like normally it was, listen, we paid for you guys to come overseas. You're gonna be here all night. And
Right.
that's what it was, night after night.
Yeah, it's not like nowadays, 2 hours, wham, bam, done, call in the night.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. Um, so this location was called Karosta Prison. Karosta Sedums is, I guess, the Latvian word for
Yeah.
prison. And I actually have the case file for this one.
Let's see it. Oh, there it is.
I know. We had to actually, this is a stupid side note. We were always given black folders until suddenly they gave us like bright blue, and I feel like it totally ruined everything.
Yeah. Everything went bad.
I was
That's when
very
we jumped the
upset.
shark. We got the blue folder and everything went to hell right after that. Good job.
Um, but yeah, so first, right off the bat, what I remember, besides it being very, very cold out, was because I think we made mention to this like back in Samsbury Hall or Bottle Within, the Bottle Within episode, that we were kind of just a bunch of children. Like we couldn't sometimes keep a straight face about the
Lots
simplest
of
things.
lots of sophomoric humor and jokes and things.
Yeah, and it was very unfortunate that our client's name was, do you remember it, Dustin?
I remember it had something to do with the butt.
Our client's name was Anarse.
It's still funny.
And so trying to get the three guys to do the tour with Anarse and them saying, Anarse, hi, it's nice to meet you. We had to take what, like 3 or 4 different takes.
It was a long time.
The poor guy had no idea why anyone was laughing.
Yeah, no. That could be said for a lot of people on that show. Most of the time we didn't know what was funny, but something was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He was
Anarse,
super nice. He was a really nice guy, right? Weren't they trying to make it like a hotel, like a model it after the prison, but make it into a hotel or something?
yeah, I think if memory serves, they used it as, so it turned into a museum. So let's start back from the beginning, shall we?
Sure.
This place was built in like the early 1900s. It was built for the Soviets. It acted as like a Soviet prison, and then the Nazis took over Lipkaya or Lipaja or whatever in Latvia. They took control and they executed a ton of people out in like the murder field area, which is where Joe Chin and I had our lips falling off when we were doing the EVP session. And I remember they had like a gas mask Christmas tree. Do you remember that?
Yeah, my God, that was so creepy.
Something that I found when we went to Latvia was they have a very dark and twisted, I guess you can consider it sense of humor.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, when we were driving,
very avant-garde, I believe.
That's a very kind word. We had something that people may not know. I mean, it normally wouldn't be much of an issue, but you know, if we were filming here in the States, but because we were filming all over the world and there are a lot of different cultures and viewpoints and all of that, our crew there was a heavy Jewish presence in our crew, okay? And I remember driving through these small, like little forgotten towns to this prison. And in people's front yards, they had swastikas still like staked in their front yards. And it was like,
Right. Yeah, it was very weird, very off.
Yeah, it was very uncomfortable, I think, for most of us when we were there. I feel like there were, in terms of claims at this place, I think there were like mists or something, apparitions. And I do remember one particular one that involved you. The feeling of being like dragged down to the floor.
Right. Right. Something feel like when you were walking through the halls, it'd feel like it'd pull you down. And while they were doing renovations, they kept hearing like the cell doors open and close, lights would flicker. Sometimes the light bulbs would get unscrewed and smash on the ground. So they had a lot of weird things going on there.
Right. And I think that, well, I know you experienced something in terms of personal experience. I know we got an EVP actually it was like of the door, the prison cells.
Yeah.
It sounded like they were opening and closing, but we had cameras on them.
They weren't moving.
We had a ton of surveillance in this place. Like,
it was easy. It was easy to cover.
Right. And we didn't capture the doors moving, but we captured the sound of them moving, which was different for, I think, what we found in the past.
Yeah, I guess that was more like a residual sound, which is not normally what we would get, but we could document that the doors weren't moving, but we were definitely getting the sounds of it. So obviously something that would be imprinted on that environment there. I remember walking through the hallway and having that sense of something like kind of like pulling my body down as you're walking, which is weird. So like all of a sudden gravity was like really strong. It's like, what the heck is happening? I never noticed that anywhere else. Right. And I remember one of the stories was because of when the Nazis had taken over the prison, they were using it kind of like a training slash reprogramming center for like the locals. They would bring them in and like fill them with propaganda to get them to try to fight for their side. And I remember there was a story about a woman whose fiance got taken, and it was like a Romeo and Juliet thing. Like she used her feminine charms, let's say, and she brought some vodka and things, and the guards told her what room this guy was in, only to find out he already died, and then she takes her life in the cell. And I want to say it was cell number 8, and I remember I was working with Barry on the metaphysical side of things off camera, and he was trying to get me to follow my guidance and also eat less pasta, which I never understood, but he kept telling me, you eat too many carbs, that's why you can't connect. I think he was just trying to get me going on a diet. But I remember being in the cell number 8, and I just looked at Barry, I'm like, I just don't feel what we're supposed to be talking to. Like, I don't feel like she's here. And I remember him going, Mr. P, where is she? And I kept being drawn to this cell down the end of the hallway. And I remember going there, and as we started to do an EVP session, Barry's coming around the corner, and I'm in there with Snapper, our camera guy, Steve, and those cells were tiny. They're like maybe 4x6. And Steve's in there, and I'm in there, and Barry comes around the corner, and we hear this woman's voice, disembodied voice, speaking in Latvian. And you were the only ladies there, and everybody was in the van to stay warm. And I just remember like Barry freezing, and I'm like looking around, and they subtitled it because Steve, he just, you know him, like so surfer. He's like, dude, what was that? It was like completely, it was so awesome though to know like there's nobody else here. It's freezing cold. We're hearing this woman's voice. And then when I went to do the research scene, we found that they had the blueprints for the place, and when they were making it to a museum or transitioning it to a hotel, they numbered it backwards. So the actual cell where we heard her voice was the active cell, not what they thought it was. But really great place, I thought, but just absolutely the coldest place I could remember.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm to pick up where I think I trailed off onto a different tangent.
These things happen.
It happens. But yeah, you were right. So it's a museum now, and they have like where you can buy tickets. And again, going to their like humor or something, I don't know. It's like you can dress up as a prisoner, or you can dress up as like an SS guard and like spend the night. It's
a lot of weird role playing.
Yeah, really weird. So yeah, it's technically kind of like a hotel, but it's not. I don't know. It's super weird. I just remember this is the episode where I tried to explain what seeing a shadow figure in darkness.
Right. What was the line, Brandy?
It's like seeing a darker image in the darkness that's darker than I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. I knew when I said it was horrible. But I mean, you know, unless you've experienced that, it's really difficult to like really put it into words. Like, you know, after a while sitting in the darkness, your eyes kind of adjust, you know? And so it is odd when you start seeing like a clear movement. And I think that at that time, that's when I was feeling the really cold draft. That we couldn't find really a reason for it. There were no drafts from the window. I know Rob like reached in to where I was feeling, and he felt it as well. Just very odd. It was a very odd place, a very dark place.
It was. And just, I remember like, because I've been in those situations too before. I remember, I think it was Eastern State when I first noticed that, where, you know, you're not in pitch black, there's some ambient light. So most things are, you know, very dark, gray, black, you can see, but then you see like a figure or like a mass of an area, and it's almost like completely void of color. Like it's so dark. It's like, and then you don't notice it till it moves, and you're like, wait a second, like that doesn't happen. So yeah, it is strange.
No, it just sounded really stupid. I totally agree to anyone that was like, what the hell is she talking about? I agree, it sounded dumb, but I promise you, I was trying to make a point.
Your brain was frozen, maybe. It was.
No, it's true. Like, I remember, I don't know if it ever made air, which is fine if it didn't. But Joe Chin and I were investigating outside for an hour. It was like the longest EVP session ever in like -10 degrees. And I remember we had Steve Purcell, and he had like the whole face mask, right? And we're
Yeah.
out there,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we're just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, he had the Hannibal Lecter like face mask. And we're stuck out there, like our lips are
Yeah.
numb, and we're trying to like formulate words, and it's like, no, we're done. Like, this is just ridiculous. But you know
Yeah,
what?
that was a tough one.
We had fun though after that, despite me being sicker than a dog. I got so sick. I think I had like massive like chest flu like thing going on. But we went
Right.
bobsledding.
Olympic training center or something, right? When they had those big rafts they put us on.
Yeah. Yeah, so we went
It
to
wasn't quite like a real bobsled, which I kind of hoped it was. But
it was probably better that it wasn't. I don't know. But yeah, it was at the Olympics Training Center in like Riga, Latvia or whatever. And
yeah,
they
Riga.
they I remember I have a picture of Dave Hobbs in the suit. He was trying to get Barry, I think, to wear the suit.
Yeah, yeah. The bobsledding outfit. Dear Lord.
Not flattering for anyone, let me tell you.
No. Well, it has to be very aerodynamic, so it's very form-fitting.
Yeah,
Indeed.
it was like flying down a tube that was open-sided, so you felt like you're gonna literally fly out at any moment.
Yeah.
In like a mattress. It was like a mattress.
Right.
It's like, it was weird. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I felt like I was in like a bouncy castle, like going down a slide. I didn't know what was going to happen. It seemed very unsafe. But
I remember it was me, Angela, and Rob in our sled.
yeah,
And then it was you, Barry, and Joe Chin. And I think we went down first.
yeah.
And then you guys went down after us. And I remember standing at the bottom, and we heard this scream all the way down.
Joe gets afraid. Joe Chin gets afraid of things.
It was so funny. Oh my God.
That's right, because there were time trials. We didn't race against each other. It was like a time trial thing. See how fast you could get down the track.
Right. No, I mean, it was fun. It was scary, I will say. Like, in retrospect, I feel like I could have flown out at any time.
Yeah. It seems dangerous. Probably no more dangerous than all the wine outings that we did, though, that never aired. Like, those are probably more detrimental to everyone's health and safety.
I just remember I was super sick. I was super sick before we left for this outing, and I remember Dave Hobbs coming to my room, and he just had like pills. He was like, "Here, take these. You'll feel better." And I'm pretty sure it was probably like Dayquil or something, but I was just so sick that I just didn't even care, and like, just give them to me. But we all made it. We made it out alive.
And the place was haunted. It was a clear haunting, I think.
Yeah, I think that Anarse was super shocked that we were actually able to validate what was happening.
Right.
I think he was kind of like, I think it was sort of like a Voiko moment where he's like, I'm not coming back here by myself.
Right. Yeah. That's an awesome case, though. I really like that one.
Yeah. So that is kind of all I remember of just Latvia in general. We only had one location in Latvia. You know, normally we would go to a country and do like 2 to 3 different locations. But Latvia was just a one and done. And we lucked out that it made it a full episode and it was on it.
That's right. I don't remember anything like the hotel or the town. I really don't remember anything but the case for that place.
I remember the hotel, they had amazing showers, and they had like 500 shower heads everywhere.
Oh, it was like the car wash shower. Yeah. That was that place?
Yep.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you remembered that, because I didn't, but I do remember a nice shower now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, and they had like the heat light, the red light in there. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
you're really living when you're there. That's good.
The one good thing about Latvia.
Yeah. We talk a lot about bathing, you notice. We're very clean people. We
We
talked
are.
about like how bad it was in Romania, like the bare bulb with the shower head in the middle of the room and the nice tub in France, and now this.
Well, I have to say though, like one of my favorite, if not my favorite thing, like on every case was coming back to the hotel by like 7 a.m. and just taking the longest hot
Yeah.
shower ever and then just passing out.
Yeah, because no one else is up in the hotel, so the water's good, water pressure's good, temperature's good. I would try to make it through the shower and then stumble back downstairs half asleep just to get the breakfast, because then I could sleep better on a full stomach. So I often would shower, eat the breakfast, and then pass out. That was it.
Either way, showering is good, cold is not.
Yeah. No, we're very clean and warm people here in the GHI Remembrance Show.
So that was Karosta Prison in Latvia. That was a full hour, and we're done with that case file.
See you later. Thanks again to everybody for joining us here on Fuzzy Memories from the Road. We hope you enjoy our weird remembrances as much as we do. And special thanks, as always, to Miss Brandy Green, because Lord knows she organizes all this. I just show up and when she tells me to. We'll see you on the next one, everybody.
Bye.